Today, you are going to take the psychopath test. It's actually called the Hare Psychopathy Checklist. This is the second edition revised, so it's up to date. Now, here's how you put your list together.
All right, so get a sheet of paper, doesn't matter how big. On it, you're going to put 1 through 20 on the far left side, then draw a line right in there somewhere. And up here at the top, you can put 0-1-2. I'll explain that to you in the video. And go down here at the bottom and put score, and that's where the score is going to be. And we're going to go over the psychopath checklist and find out whether or not you're a psychopath or somebody you know may be one, and this is going to help you make your decisions about that.
What's going to happen is this. We're going to go through the questions one at a time, okay? And you answer them to the best of your ability. And all you got to do, like it says on there, you're going to answer it with a 0, a 1, or a 2. A 0, a 1, or a 2, okay? Now, if it's 0, this isn't present in your life whatsoever, whatever the question is. If it's 1, it's somewhat present in your life. And if it's 2, then it's definitely present in your life. And when we get finished, there are 20 of them. And out of the 20, the score can be up to 40. So we're going to add them up at the end and find out what your score is. Now, keep in mind, this is not a professional assessment for psychopathy at all. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist, anything like that. This is just to give you an idea of what people like me look for when we're talking to someone who's done something they shouldn't have done or trying to make a decision about whether they're somewhere on the psychopathy scale. Now, here's what the Psychopathy Checklist is. It's a diagnostic tool used to assess psychopathy. It was developed by Dr. Robert Hare in the 1970s and is commonly used in clinical assessments, research, and forensic settings. The checklist consists of 20 items, each scored on a 3-point scale, 0, 1, or 2, based on how well the statement applies to the individual being assessed. That would be you, or you're taking this to help make a decision about what you think about somebody else. A total score of 30 or above out of the 40 typically indicates a diagnosis of psychopathy. All right, you ready? Here's the first question. Glibness and superficial charm. This refers to a persuasive, insincere charm that is often characteristic of some individuals with manipulative personalities, marked by a smooth, easy manner of speaking that is intended to be convincing and captivating, yet it lacks the depth and sincerity that you normally would hear and see. Is that present in your life? If it's not at all, put a 0. If it's somewhat present in your life, put a 1. And if it's definitely present in your life, put a 2. All right, question 2. Egocentricity and grandiose sense of self-worth. These refer to a personality trait where individuals have an inflated view of themselves, often perceiving their abilities, worth, or importance as greater than they actually are. Okay, where do you land in there? Is that present in your life? If it's not at all, put a 0. If it's somewhat present in your life, put a 1. And if it's definitely present in your life, put a 2. Okay. Number 3, proneness to boredom, low frustration tolerance. These often occur together and describe a person's limited ability to engage with routine or delayed gratification without becoming frustrated or losing interest. All right. If it's not present in your life at all, put a 0. Somewhat present, put a 1. And if it's definitely present in your life, put a 2. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Number 4, pathological lying and deception. Pathological lying and deception involve a persistent, compulsive tendency to lie or manipulate the truth far beyond ordinary social fabrication or white lies. All right. For you, is that not present at all in your life? That's a 0. Is it somewhat present? That's a 1. And if it's present, for sure, that's a 2. Okay. Number 5, conning, lack of sincerity. Conning and lack of sincerity are behavioral traits often seen in manipulative and deceitful individuals, characterized by dishonesty and exploitation in interactions with others. All right. If it's not in your life at all, it's not part of what you do or who you are, put a 0. If it's somewhat present in your life, put a 1. If it's definitely present in your life, put a 2. All right, number 6. Lack of remorse or guilt. Lack of remorse or guilt is a psychological trait often observed in individuals who do not feel or express any regret or sorrow for the actions that cause harm to others. All right, is that you? If it's not at all, put a 0. Somewhat, put a 1. And if it's for sure, put a 2. All right. Number 7. Lack of affect and emotional depth. Lack of affect and emotional depth, also known as flat affect, describes a psychological state where an individual shows reduced emotional expressiveness and experiences shallow range of emotions. Is that you? If it's not at all, obviously a 0. Somewhat, put a 1. And it's for sure, put a 2. Okay. Number 8, callous lack of empathy. Callousness and a lack of empathy describe a personality trait where an individual shows a marked insensitivity to the feelings or sufferings of others and an inability to understand or share the emotions of another person. If that's not part of your life at all, put a 0. If it's somewhat part of your life, put a 1. If it's definitely present in your life, put a 2. Okay. Number 9, parasitic lifestyle. A parasitic lifestyle is where the person relies excessively on others for personal gain, often at the expense of those they depend on. This lifestyle is characterized by a lack of self-sufficiency and ongoing exploitation of others, such as money, housing, or emotional support. If that's not present in your life at all, put a 0. If it's somewhat present, put a 1. And if it's definitely present, put a 2. Number 10, short-tempered, poor behavioral controls. Short-temperedness and poor behavioral controls refer to a personality trait and a behavioral issue where an individual exhibits a low tolerance for frustration and frequent, often unpredictable emotional outbursts. If this is not present with you at all, put a 0. If it's somewhat present, put a 1. And if it's present, put a 2. 11, history of promiscuous sexual relations. This refers to a pattern of engaging in numerous sexual relationships or encounters characterized by a lack of discernment or commitment to any particular partner. All right, if this isn't in your life at all, put a 0. Somewhat, put a 1. And it's for sure part of your life or present in your life, put a 2. All right. Number 12, history of early behavior problems. A history of early behavior problems refers to persistent patterns of disruptive, aggressive, or antisocial behaviors observed in children or adolescents. If this wasn't part of your life at all, not present at all, put a 0. Somewhat present, put a 1. If it's really present in your life, 2. Number 13, lack of realistic long-term plans. This refers to a behavioral trait where an individual consistently fails to set feasible goals or strategize effectively for the future. If this is not present in your life at all, put down a 0. Somewhat present, put down a 1. If it's definitely present in your life, put down a 2. Okay. Number 14, impulsivity. Impulsivity is a psychological trait characterized by the tendency to act on urges and desires without deliberation or consideration of the consequences. This behavior is typically hasty, poorly thought out, and potentially harmful to oneself or others. If this is not present in your life at all, put a 0. Somewhat present, put it 1. If it's definitely present, put a 2. All right. Number 15. Irresponsible behavior. This refers to the actions or patterns of behavior that demonstrate a disregard for the consequences of one's actions on oneself or others. This can manifest in various aspects of life, including personal, professional, and social contexts. Okay, it's not present in your life at all, put a 0. Somewhat present, put a 1. If it's definitely present, mark down 2. All right. Number 16, frequent marital relationships. This refers to a pattern where an individual engages in multiple marriages over a relatively short period of time. This behavior can reflect various underlying psychological and social factors. All right. That has nothing to do with you, not in your life at all. If you've just married the one person or you're not married at all, that's a 0. Somewhat present in your life, it's a 1. If it's definitely present in your life, put a 2. All right. Number 17, history of juvenile delinquency. This refers to involvement in illegal or antisocial behaviors during one's youth, typically before reaching adulthood. This term encompasses a range of activities from minor rule breaking to more serious crimes. If you weren't a troublemaker when you were young, if this is nothing for you, not present in your life at all, 0. Somewhat, 1. And definitely present, 2. Number 18, revocation of conditional release. This refers to the cancellation or withdrawal of conditional freedom granted to an individual, typically after they have been convicted of a crime. This conditional release can come in various forms, such as parole, probation, or other types of supervised freedom. The revocation happens when the individual fails to comply with the terms set forth in their release conditions. If this has nothing to do with you, not part of your life, not present at all, 0. Somewhat, 1. And if it's definitely present in your life, put a 2. Next up, number 19, failure to accept responsibility for own actions. This refers to a behavioral trait where an individual consistently avoids acknowledging their personal role in negative outcomes or mistakes. This behavior can manifest in various contexts and is characterized by several key aspects, like denial of fault, blaming others, rationalization, and lack of self-reflection. If this is not present in your life at all, put a 0. Somewhat present, put a 1. If it's definitely present, a 2. All right. Number 20, many types of offense. The phrase many types of offense encompasses a broad spectrum of violations that can occur across legal, social, and ethical domains. So here's a structured definition covering the main categories: criminal offenses, civil offenses, breach of contract, regulatory offenses, financial misconduct, social or ethical offenses, professional misconduct. All right, that was a long one. But if none of that is in your life at all, not present whatsoever, 0. Somewhat present, that's a 1. If it's definitely present, that's a 2. How'd you do? Between 0 and 10, you're doing all right. If you hit between 10 and 20, you've led a fairly interesting life, I think. If you hit between 20 and 30, you've had a really interesting life. But 30 and above, like I said before, then if you're worried about it, go see somebody, go talk to a psychologist, go talk to a therapist and say, hey, here's what happened. I took this test, I'm freaking out. But keep in mind, if you're freaking out, you're not a psychopath, okay? But I do want to know what your score was. So let me know. In the comments below, let me know what your score was. If I get enough people commenting and tell me what their score was, I'll tell you what mine was, okay? Because I did too. So I'll do that if you'll do that. If we get enough people in there to do that, I'll show you mine. So if you want to learn more about psychopathy and human behavior and body language, watch that video right there. If you have any questions about body language and behavior, just email me, bodylanguagequestions@gmail.com, and I'll answer them.